Hello dear, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Dear students, I am Zakir Hossain. Today I am here to take your virtual class for the students of class 9. We will discuss today about clause. If we want to transform sentences, especially from simple to complex or to compound, we need to know about what is clause. I will discuss all the things about clause, especially the definition of clause, the characteristics of clause, and the kinds of clauses. That means how many kinds of clauses are there in English grammar. We will know about it, and we will also look through some examples. This is very important for all of you to know about clauses whenever you want to transform sentences. So we will start the class. At first I have written here what is clause. If you look at the whiteboard, you must find that there is a question, what is clause? In the answer of the sentence, I have written here that the clause is where there will be a subject and a predicate as a group of words. That means a subject or a predicate must be there in a clause as a group of words. That means a group of words will be in a clause. But that will not be considered as a full sentence. From here, we have come to know that clauses will not be considered as a full sentence. That means it is a part of a sentence. So, dear students, we have come to know that a clause is not a full sentence. It is a part of a sentence. The clause can be of two types. Whenever we look through the kinds of clauses, we find mainly two kinds of clauses. Two kinds of clauses there are. One clause is independent clause, and another one is called dependent clause. So now we will look on the characteristics of the independent clause and the dependent clause. At first, we can see here that a clause that contains both a subject and a predicate. From here, you can easily understand that in an independent clause, there will be a subject and a predicate. That means without a subject and a predicate, no independent clause will be formed. So dear students, you have been confirmed about that a subject and a predicate form an independent clause. Then the second characteristics of an independent clause is an independent clause is a clause that can stand alone as a sentence. So independent clause may be used as alone as a sentence, or can be a part of a multi-clause sentence. Uses multi-clause sentence. That means a clause can be used as a multi-clause sentence. That means there are many parts of clauses here. Then in the fourth characteristics, we can see that uses conjunctions such as or, for, so and, but, nor, etc. That means some conjunctions will be used at the first of an independent clause. Here we have written an example of an independent clause. In the example, we see that here it is a sentence titled we visited Agra but we did not go to Taj Mahal. Here but is a conjunction and this is an independent clause. Independent clauses do not depend on any sentence or any clause. It can express full meaning without the help of others. Now we will look to the another clause named dependent clause. Here we can see the first characteristics of a dependent clause is it is a clause that can have a subject and a predicate. So here is the similarity between clauses, independent clause and dependent clause. So we can see a subject and a predicate can be used both in an independent clause and dependent clause. All the clauses must have may have a subject and a predicate. The second characteristics of a dependent clause is it cannot stand alone as a sentence. That means independent clause can be used alone as a sentence, but on the other hand, a dependent clause cannot be used as a sentence. The third characteristics of a dependent clause is it always be a part of a sentence on which it depends for meaning. So to express full meaning, a dependent clause cannot be at first it cannot be used as a alone as a sentence, and it is always used as a part of a sentence on which it depends for meaning. To express meaning, it will depend on a part of a sentence. We have from this discussion we have come to know that there are two kinds of clauses: independent clause and dependent clause. Now we will classify the dependent clause. You have to look on the board. We will discuss about what is dependent clause and how many types of dependent clauses are there in English grammar. So, my dear students, if we classify dependent clause, we will see that there are three types of dependent clauses: adjective clause, adverb clause, and the third one is noun clause. So here is here are three kinds of clauses that came from dependent clause. Dependent clause is of three kinds: adjective clause, adverb clause, and noun clause. We have come from our discussion that adjective clause, adverb clause, and noun clause are dependent clause. We will go to examples. Adjective clause. I saw a boy who was blind. Here, who was blind is an adjective clause. Then we will look through the example of adverb clause. He did the work he did the work here the example of adverb clause is he was born when it was 1985. Here we can see an example of adverbial clause, and noun clause is the example of a noun clause can be such: I know what his name is. So here you can see three kinds of dependent clauses: adjective clause, adverb clause, and noun clause. Adverb clause can be named adverbial clause also. Adverbial clause. So from the whole discussion we have come to know that clause is a phrase that can be used as a full sentence or can be used as a part of a sentence, and clauses are of mainly two kinds: independent clause and dependent clause. Then we have learned that dependent clause is of three kinds. Those are adjective clause, adverb clause, and noun clause. From our next classes, we will discuss how to convert from simple to complex and compound. Then we will need such clauses. When we will go through the examples, when we will solve the sentences of various types of complex, such as complex or simple or compound, we will need that clauses. So I hope you all will memorize and learn about clause and its classifications. Stay well at home, keep well, keep good health, and I hope you will wear mask whenever you will go out of your home. That's all for the time being. Thank you all to be with me the whole class. Be safe and be happy. Allah Hafiz.